to possibly not feel abandoned. Even though you might consciously be listening and being like, why the heck would I ever do that? It's because you are wired for survival. You are conditioned to what you know. Survival equals comfort, equals what we know, equals what we're used to. Insert continuing, repeating, patterns. Hey, beautiful. Welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey. This is your weekly sanctuary for waking up from autopilot and transforming the way you approach life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It is my mission to help you heal unprocessed emotions and release stuck energies by alchemizing your struggle cycles into opportunities for deep self-love, awareness, trust, and connection, to return to your innate essence of being, stepping back into your energy of alignment. Because here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light, embodying all parts that make you, you. So if you are ready to get to the root of cultivating real change, get cozy, grab your journal and maybe favorite crystals, and let's discover our power within together. Hello, love, and welcome back to another episode of the Naturally Empowered Living podcast. This is your host, guide, and mentor in all things emotions, energetics, and soul awakening, Jenna Smith. And today we are breathing life into an older episode. This episode I recorded years ago. Gosh, I should look back and see when did I record this episode? And it's been coming to me in so many different capacities. People I'm talking to, myself. 2023. So this is almost 2 years ago. It was August of 2023 that I recorded this episode. And it's time. It's time to come at this topic with a deeper perspective. Episode 45, was all about learning and understanding how to appreciate different relationships within our lives. And to see that from a perspective of, everyone coming into our life is either here teaching us a lesson or we are teaching them a lesson, and to kind of have that perspective shift, when there are turbulent relationships or when you do have clashing energies or when confrontation arises, to see it through a lens of the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture of life and soul contracts, if you believe in that, like everything happening for a reason and everything happening for you and not to you, just really that perspective shift, finding the blessings, if you will, in all relationships, especially the hard ones, right? The ones that we see as like the toxic patterns or, feeling used, or it's just like, it's not a reciprocated relationship. So I really dove into talking about navigating resentments and bringing awareness just to that potential for your personal growth, for your personal evolution, self-reflection, and simply the duality of existing. Duality might not be the right word, but just like existing with so many different types of people. Like, we are all individual, we are all unique, we are all on our own paths, we all have our own shit, we all have our own traumas and triggers, and here we are, like, put onto this, earth, into this human experience, and live, figure it out, right? So it was really encompassing that universal piece of changing that perspective, of seeing everyone coming into your life to either teach you a lesson or for you to teach them a lesson, all designed and agreed upon prior to coming into this life. And to see it as that blessing, or what is it? What is the lesson here? Or what was the purpose of this relationship, or whatever that might be. So go listen to episode 45. I think we were still the Balanced Mom Method back then, but it's still the same show, still the same me, still the same powerful message. It's episode 45 of this show. So since that time, and since that version of me, I can't believe it was already 2 years ago, since we recorded that episode back then, like, I've lived through even deeper layers of this truth, like, as we all do, right? We go through, or we have hard relationships, or we might, lose specific friends or acquaintances, or learn lessons, and all these things, right? We're ever evolving. And as well, like, I've furthered my education and my knowledge of, my expertise of like the work that I do and like how we work as humans and all those things also. So like my personal experience, and then also my education, and I'm just constantly continuing my education and learnings as well. So today we're going to piggyback, let's say, off of episode 45, and we're going to come back into relationships again. Possibly for those of us that are feeling stuck in a relationship that we just know isn't aligned and we don't know how to leave, or maybe we feel that we're losing ourselves trying to keep someone else happy, or you just find yourself not being fully you, or you're just lost in a relationship, or maybe you're struggling to let go of someone or to heal your heart or to find closure. Really just that turbulence of the relationship. And now this isn't just to speak on intimate relationships. I know everything I just said was kind of like, that breakup feel, but it is like looking at it from every interaction, every relationship, every engagement that you had or are having. Each one holds their own weight. They all hold their own energy, because maybe you have an acquaintance, or maybe you've had a friend for years, or possibly it is an intimate partner. And they all relate when it comes to this universal piece of what is living within inside our bodies. Living as in, our perspectives, our perceptions, how we respond to triggers, our specific attachment styles, possibly past imprints that are still living within our bodies and are now repeating the same cyclical patterns in our outer reality in life. Like, have you ever found yourself like, why do I keep attracting these same types of people within my life? And I get used and I fall into people pleasing, and then I get hurt, or whatever that might be. You're falling into these same cyclical patterns because there's a traumatic imprint within your body there's stuck energy somewhere. There's something that has not been processed fully from your past, and it's still living out in your present because your subconscious, yourself, you want to heal, you want to process, you want to come back to your innate sense of feeling the joy, the presence, the peace, the clarity, the balance, the love, right? That enlightenment piece, if you will. But we have a lot of gunk inside of us. We have a lot of shit. We have a lot of things that we are conditioned to shove under the rug, to just, put our blinders on and go full bore, hustle, grind. We live in such a go society to where we don't pause to fully process when something happens, or to fully pay attention to this pattern within my life. Why? To ask those questions, to connect back to ourselves. So to not take the heat off of the other party here, like if this is a two-person relationship, not to take the heat off the other person. But if you are here on this show, that we are all about self-awakening. And if you're new here, hi. if you're not aware of that accountability and ownership that we take, I'm so thankful that you're here and that you landed on this show, because as we don't bypass anything. Like I just said, like, we're not shoving things under the rug anymore. Okay? We're holding space. We're holding space to reconnect and to create that personal safety within ourselves, to create that self-awareness within ourselves, to bring that healing back into harmony with our energy of alignment. Again, to feel those feelings of peace, presence, confidence, clarity, belief, joy, love, balance naturally. Bringing safety back into our bodies, to learn how to regulate when we become dysregulated, to naturally feel good without needing to pull for a vice or a coping mechanism or another toxic relationship. Okay? And we're going on this route within this episode of relationships here. I do want to also note, like, we're not blaming anyone. We're not putting blame on anyone, even yourself here. Like, we are holding ourselves in this container right here and now. If you can, shut your eyes and imagine this beautiful bubble, whatever color you imagine this bubble is covering you in safety and protection and love as you go here, because we're not placing blame on yourself or the other party. Even if, you're like, mother F, like, they're at fault, this is their fault, and da-da-da-da-da, all this harm that they've done to me. Okay, that is valid. Your feelings of being hurt or angry or frustrated or just depressed and not wanting to get out of bed in the morning, that is valid. And for as hard as it is, we cannot change our past. We cannot change how people have treated us or things that have happened to us. And as our past does not define us, it does shape us. And what happened to you might not be your fault. However, healing is your responsibility. So that's where the past doesn't define you. You could always rewire, you could always repattern, but it shapes you into who you are in this present moment. And your responsibility is to heal, to break that cycle. So holding on to blame or resentments, it's not doing you any service than keeping you stuck in that same cyclical pattern. We're not talking about finding forgiveness for this person that did you wrong, but you're finding forgiveness within yourself. So sometimes what's keeping you stuck or hurt or spiraling isn't just the other person. Let that sink in for a minute, because we're bringing this mirror onto ourselves, not saying you are at fault, but what's going on inside of you to be able to process, to be able to heal, to be able to overcome, possibly let go or overcome this relationship that you might be going through, or this friendship that you're like, this does not serve me anymore. How do I move forward? Whatever that might be. Because a lot of times we hold on to things without even realizing it. You know, we talk on the show, this is what the work that I do, the subconscious, the unconscious, the unseen, however, the felt work, that somatic work, bringing it back to our bodies. But our conscious awareness, we're like, what? Like, I don't do that, or I don't know that. But gosh darn it, like, I do have that pattern. I do see those same cycles. That is your subconscious. Okay, that is the wiring that has been ingrained in you. And this is what we're going to kind of dive into a little bit today in this episode, is learning how a attachment style is created, or these habitual patterns that we are constantly seeing within our lives, or possibly choosing the same type of specific partner or friend, or like what I said earlier, like this relationship that I fall into, this people pleasing, and then I'm the one hurt, I'm the one feeling the resentment, and it's just that same pattern over and over. At some point within our lives, we wired ourselves to do this. That's just the truth. This is not a fault. However, our nervous systems, how we were created, our nervous systems were created to seek survival. So, an example, if you are raised in an emotionally abusive dynamic within your household, you will create a pattern in parts of yourself to survive, to feel safe, to possibly not feel abandoned. Even though you might consciously be listening and being like, why the heck would I ever do that? It's because you are wired for survival. You are conditioned to what you know. Survival equals comfort, equals what we know, equals what we're used to. Insert continuing, repeating, patterns. Until you bring that awareness in. That awareness, not just the self-awareness, but self-awareness is big, but the awareness around what is going on, and then bringing it into the self-awareness. To see, let's dive into this a little bit. So I want to talk about attachment styles. Let's start with attachment styles here and how they possibly can be running the show beneath the surface when it comes to our relationships. So an attachment style is essentially how, this is going to be a very general piece here, okay? You can go into so much depth of different attachment styles. This is just a very umbrella, hopefully easy to digest explanation of what attachment style is, okay? This is how our nervous system learned to connect from our, childhood, our upbringing, our caregivers, our experiences, school, all this stuff. How we learned to connect or possibly protect ourselves in our early life relationships. And unless we've consciously healed any potential traumatic imprints, we carry them into adulthood. Because that's what we know. Again, going back to nervous system equals survival, equals comfort, equals what we know and what we're used to. Until we bring that awareness to be able to rewire. So we bring these habits or these patterns into adulthood. And this isn't just romantic relationships. This is any type of connection. We as humans seek connection. So how we were grown up and raised, I'm going to get into the different attachment styles here in a minute, but how we were formed into this specific attachment of connection, family dynamics, friend groups, whatever that might be, now moving into adulthood, coworkers, and even how we relate to ourselves, there's a common theme based on what your attachment style is. So there's 4 main attachment styles here, and each one shows up a little differently. So first, it's called anxious attachment. So if you lean towards this anxious attachment style, relationships might feel like a roller coaster. You might find yourself questioning, like, do they still like me? Did I do something wrong? Why aren't they texting me back right away? It's very much that anxious piece of, you have that deep fear of possibly abandonment. So you might overgive, you might over apologize, you might be people pleasing, you might stay quiet about what you need. And you possibly might attach very quickly, even if it's not safe, because you fear that abandonment piece. Another is avoidant attachment. So this is, if you lean towards avoidant, connection might feel threatening. Not because you don't want love, it's because you don't always feel safe that you can need someone. Okay, so you might shut down when conflict arises. You might pull away when someone gets too close. You might dismiss your emotions or others. Okay, you might value the independence to the point of isolation because you feel that it's not safe. Connection is not safe. The third is fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment. And this one's pretty complex because it's like that push-pull dynamic. Like you might crave closeness, but you can fear it at the same time. You feel chaotic or unpredictable in relationships. You might have trouble trusting even if you want to, or you sabotage intimacy and then you have a fear of being alone. Okay? This often stems from kind of that intertwined fear of the love and the safety, maybe possibly through emotional abuse in early environments growing up, or neglect, or just unpredictable caregiving. Okay, your system might not know like what's safe, like closeness or distance, so it kind of bounces between the two. And secure attachment, this is what we all want, right? Quote unquote want. This is what all of like the human connection, as humans, we all crave connection. Okay, so secure attachment is the one that we all crave for, right? We're all healing towards. It's not perfection. Of course, nothing is perfect. However, it's a sense of stability, inner safety, self-trust within relationships, like that autonomy piece. With secure attachment, you can communicate your needs openly. You allow others to be close without losing who you are in the process. You trust that you're worthy of love without having to earn it. And you can navigate conflict without, spiraling into like the people pleasing or something of that nature. And here is the incredible news, like secure attachment can always be reached through self-awareness, nervous system regulation, emotional healing, creating that safety. And it starts with yourself. Like it starts with a safe, attuned relationship with yourself. Creating that safety within your body, creating that self-connection within yourself to then build on that self-trust and build on that self-love for yourself. Like you can break the cycle. You can repattern. And this brings us to something that so many of us have experienced at some point within our lives, possibly without even realizing it, is losing your identity inside a relationship. Because when maybe an attachment style, goes unacknowledged, or you're falling into this pleasing, or you're not setting expectations, or you're silencing your truth or your wants and your needs to please someone else, your nervous system is so dysregulated, you're chasing safety and survival instead of being yourself. Okay, we're molding to our external environments, our external relationships to adapt, to appease, to try to belong. So you'll stop like thinking or asking like, what do I want? What do I need? What do I feel? And you'll slowly morph into like, what do they need from me? How do I keep the peace? What version of me will make them like me, or whatever that might be? Did you kind of see that perspective shift there? And then once you do kind of find that awareness piece of maybe you're like, oh my gosh, like I lost myself within this relationship, or I'm not myself, or you have this awareness and then the fear comes in because you might be thinking, Who am I without them? What do I even like? What was mine and what was I just adapting to survive? So then you might shrink back and you might continue that cycle because you fear change versus staying the same. Okay? So what you can do if you are kind of in this identity loss is you could start small. Learn how to build that self-connection within yourself again. This actually just came to me. I had a root cause therapy session a couple days ago, and we were talking about different rituals, different connection practices to really tune in with like your intuition, okay? So I just feel called to share this right now because this isn't so much like connecting to yourself. This is trusting that inner guidance. So I gave her a few examples of just little things to start like practicing, like grab a coin, like go grab a quarter, okay? And you've probably like heads is this, tails is this, right? So we're going to do that. Like the next time that you have a yes or no decision or a this or that decision, grab a coin and say, okay, this X is heads. And if it lands on tails, it's Y or whatever. And it's not so much when you flip the coin, what it lands on that matters. It's connecting to the feelings, the sensations that you have within your body of what that coin lands on. Or when it's up in the air, what you want that coin to land on. The result doesn't matter. What the coin lands on does not matter. It's connecting to those sensations within your body of how you feel what that coin lands on. Does that make sense? So those types of practices to help connect with yourself, to connect with that inner guidance within you. It could be through prayer, through meditation, through finding your creativity again. Making a list of what brings me joy. What can I get lost in doing and like forget what time it is? What makes me feel safe or at peace? One of the biggest lessons that I've learned over the years of just, different relationships and dynamics of what I've experienced and what I've witnessed is that sacrificing your inner peace and going out of your way, maybe sacrificing other parts of yourselves too, or other things. And if it leaves you feeling unappreciated or lonely or angry, and then you just get lost in this spiral, and then you are the one anxious, you are the one depressed, you are the one grieving, you are the one that, it feels so hard to get out of bed in the morning. When you allow someone to take your self-love, when you allow someone to steal your truth or to steal your trust, and I'm not talking like they're doing this consciously, maybe they are, but this is about you. When you allow your power to be taken from you, that power being that self-love, that self-trust, that self-connection, that self-belief within you, you end up living someone else's story. You're not on your path anymore. And I'm not saying this to, bring more depression or sadness your way. It's to bring that awareness because we slowly disconnect from ourselves. We slowly disconnect from our joy, our love, our passion, and life starts to feel empty. And this is not to say that we completely, go completely selfish and the world revolves around me. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's about learning how to take your power back, learning how to connect back with yourself, trust yourself again, love yourself again, to come back into your energy of alignment, because then you're going to know the discernment of what relationships are meant for you and which ones are ready to let go. And we can remain kind and respectful and understanding and inclusive through this process, while still holding our self-connection and protection and love and trust at the highest standard. So how can we do that? If you're in a relationship now that you're kind of wishy-washy about, or possibly, just moving forward in interactions with coworkers or friends or loved ones or whoever that might be right now, to kind of keep that mutual relationship is to, one, have hard conversations. Have the hard conversations. Do not silence your voice, even if it sounds, I will like preface, like, this sounds crazy, but this is how I'm feeling right now. Because you don't owe anyone silence in exchange for your peace. We need to learn how to communicate what we need. And if that is not in alignment with whoever you're talking with, you can either come to an agreement of how to meet that need, how to compromise, but you both need to be in agreement and you both need to be aware. You have to be honest. You have to have the hard conversations. You have to communicate what's not working. And again, we're not doing this to hurt the other person, but we're honoring ourselves. Okay? That people-pleasing piece, and this is something I still fall into sometimes in terms of, well, I don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, so I'm not going to speak up. Well, when it comes to hurting yourself, it's not that your intentions are to hurt the other person. You're just bringing up a conversation. You're bringing up a conversation about your feelings. And that can be done in a kind, respectful, understanding, and inclusive way. Your needs matter. Your feelings matter. Another way is to set clear expectations. Okay, we can't expect people to read our minds. I read a book, gosh, that was probably a couple years ago too. It's called Live Free by Devin Franklin. And it was a book all about expectations. And I was like, it's a pretty big book. I don't know, 200, 300 pages. And I was like, how can we talk this much about expectations? But it was life-changing. Because you could just say, like, you can't expect people to read your mind. But then how often do we fall into, again, that people-pleasing or that self-sacrificing, or you just expect, like, oh, I've known them for so many years, or we've been married for 50 years. They know me by now. I'm sorry. We all evolve. We all change. Okay? And if you don't communicate it clearly, and if you don't set expectations, people are going to have their perceptions of you, or they're going to think this is what you want, and it's so far from the truth. So that constant communication of setting your expectations to not leave anything by chance either. Like, I'd rather be proactive than reactive later on. Okay? And this kind of segues into, we can't control anyone else but ourselves. And this is such a difficult pill to swallow. This is so difficult because we can have the utmost integrity. We can be honest. We can have that self-connection. This is where self-connection comes in really strong, because by you communicating, by you setting those expectations, by you living from a space of integrity and love, there will still be people who don't reciprocate. And that is not on you. Do not shrink yourself to appease others. When you are living from a space, the space of integrity and honesty and love, having that awareness and knowing, like, I can't control this person. I cannot force them to do something, but I can control myself. You can start to see differently through a perspective still of love, but of also of being aware of the love that you deserve yourself. And this is where possibly setting boundaries comes into play, or learning and building that confidence to let go. Okay? You don't need to be understood to finally understand yourself. And this all comes back to that self-awareness, that self-connection, that self-trust, belief, love within ourselves. And even the hardest relationships can be mirrors into that. And coming to this acceptance that not all relationships are meant to last. Again, some are here to teach you a lesson. Some are here for you to teach others a lesson. And many of them were meant to show you possibly of patterns that you're now ready to break. That same relationship that keeps coming within your life, it's your subconscious. She's ready. She's ready. Maybe she'll learn the lesson this time. Maybe she'll break this cycle. Maybe she'll break this pattern. Nope, not this time. We'll bring someone else into her life. We'll have the same pattern come back. Like, your body wants to heal. Your body wants to overcome. So you'll be given the same lessons until they are met. Until they are processed. And just a couple like self-reflective things too is if you are in like this letting go, that finding closure piece of a relationship, is like, what did this person show about me? What old wounds, stirred up within me? What triggers were coming up for me? What truths did I discover? Did I learn anything new about myself? Were things impacted? After the same thing was compounded time after time after time, or this person kept doing the same thing and I forgave them, then they would do it again and I forgave them, or it was always like that one-way street relationship. Did that compound over time? And how did you respond? What was the root of that compound? Okay, letting go does not mean that you don't give love to someone. It means that you're choosing the love for yourself. You choose to love yourself enough to not stay where your love is being taken for granted. You deserve love. Like, you deserve to be appreciated. You deserve to have a reciprocated relationship of love and trust and integrity and honesty. And again, that goes for all relationships. So if you feel that this, episode was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I totally resonate with that. Or maybe you had a little bit of awareness of like, I might be holding on to a few things that I don't really know how to release. Maybe you're in that space of trying to let go of someone or something and trying to find your way back to you. I want to invite you to either, you could do a lot of things, but to right here and now, I have a tangible piece, a tangible free energy reset meditation for you to try. This guided practice, it was created to help you move through the emotional weights of experiences just like this. And many others, of course. Like, I created this because of the complete upheaval of the world right now. And so many of us are disconnected from our energy of alignment. This energy reset meditation will help you release that stuck energy from your body, to soothe and bring safety back into your nervous system, and to reconnect with yourself, ultimately. Because it's not about bypassing what you feel, it's about feeling all the way through. You can download the Energy Reset Meditation for free. The link will be in the show notes, or you could go to naturallyempoweredliving.com/energy-reset-meditation. And you could also schedule a free clarity call with me anytime. It'll just be a free heart-to-heart. We'll hop on the phone, we'll hop on Zoom, and we just talk it out. We talk about what you're going through and how, if possibly, what I offer, the services that I help, the mentoring, the root cause therapy, the energy healing, can help in you finding your way back to you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. And until next week, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. I'm sending my love and so much light.
Did you find this episode freeing or empowering? Please read my review. Tickle, boop.
Thank you for spending this sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. If this episode brought you closer to stepping into your energy of alignment, I'd love for you to leave a written review and share how this show has supported your journey. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps others find the space of transformation. And sharing it with someone who might need it spreads the ripple of healing even further. Be sure to check the show notes for ways to connect with me and explore personalized healing sessions and mentorships to deepen your self-awakening journey. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.